The final confession. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and fading life. Machines beeped in slow, rhythmic patterns, mirroring the shallow breaths of the old man lying on the bed. His skin was paper thin, veins stark against his pale complexion. Beside him sat his daughter, Anna, her hands wrapped around his, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Dad, don't talk too much. The doctor said you need to rest," she whispered, though she knew rest would soon be permanent for him. The man let out a weak chuckle, his breath rattling in his chest. "No, sweetheart, there's no more time for rest. I need to tell you the truth before it's too late." Anna frowned. "What truth?" Her father's grip on her hand tightened. His sunken eyes, once filled with warmth, now burned with something else: regret, fear, desperation. "You were never supposed to know," he rasped. "But I can't leave this world with this weight on my chest. Anna, your mother, she wasn't who you thought she was." A chill ran down her spine. "Dad, what are you talking about?" The old man took a deep, shuddering breath before continuing. "She was involved in things, dark things. Things I tried to keep hidden from you. She wasn't just my wife. She was my victim." Anna felt her stomach lurch. "Victim?" He nodded slowly. "I met her under circumstances no man should ever meet his wife. I took her, I owned her. She was supposed to be nothing more than that, but somewhere along the way, I convinced myself it was love." Anna's breath caught in her throat. "Dad, you're scaring me." "You should be scared," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "because the truth is much worse than you think." Anna's hands trembled. She wanted to pull away, to deny what she was hearing, but she couldn't. She tried to run. Her father continued, his voice hollow. "Many times, and each time I made sure she never could. She begged Anna. She pleaded for freedom, for her life. But he swallowed hard, as if the weight of his sins were finally crushing him. I didn't let her go. And when she finally stopped fighting, when she finally accepted her fate, that's when you were born." Anna felt bile rise in her throat. No, that can't be true." The old man coughed violently, his body racked with pain, but his grip on her hand never loosened. "I thought I could bury the past," he wheezed. "That if I raised you right, if I gave you a normal life, maybe I could pretend I wasn't a monster." Tears streamed down Anna's face. Her entire world was unraveling. The loving father she had known was gone, replaced by a man she didn't recognize, a man who had stolen her mother's life, who had built their family on suffering. "You need to leave," he gasped, "before it's too late." Anna's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" His eyes darkened. "They're coming for you." The machines beeped erratically. The old man's breath came in short, ragged gasps. "I thought I could protect you," he whispered, "but the things I did, they were never forgotten, and now they want their revenge." Anna stood up, her legs weak beneath her. Who wants revenge?" Her father's gaze locked onto hers, filled with something between love and dread. "Your mother's family. They know everything, and they've been watching you, waiting for the day I die, so they can take you back." Anna's blood ran cold. "Take me back? For what?" The old man's lips parted, but before he could answer, the heart monitor let out a long, deafening beep. His grip went slack. His body stilled. "Dad," Anna screamed, shaking him. "No, tell me what's happening." But it was too late. The truth had died with him. And outside the hospital, in the shadows, a pair of eyes watched her through the window, waiting. Anna's breath hitched. The room, once filled with the sound of her father's ragged breathing, now drowned in an eerie silence. The long, continuous beat from the heart monitor sent chills down her spine. He was gone, but his final words echoed in her mind like a curse. "They're coming for you." A shiver crawled up her spine. Her fingers clutched at the edge of the hospital bed, but she forced herself to turn around. The fluorescent lights flickered slightly, casting long shadows across the floor. The air felt heavier now, as if something unseen lurked in the corners of the room. Then her gaze drifted toward the window. A shadow moved outside. Anna's chest tightened. Someone was there, watching. Her father had barely taken his last breath, and yet the threat he warned her about was already here. No, no, this isn't real, she told herself, blinking rapidly, trying to shake off the paranoia. I'm just imagining things. But the sharp, undeniable feeling of being watched settled deep in her bones. Then her phone vibrated violently in her pocket. She jumped. With shaky hands, she pulled it out and looked at the screen. Unknown number? Her stomach twisted. Every nerve in her body screamed at her not to answer. But something stronger, some desperate need to know the truth, forced her thumb to slide across the screen. Hello. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Silence. Then a low, distorted voice crackled through the speaker. He's dead, isn't he? Anna's blood turned to ice. Who are you? She demanded, gripping the phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. The voice chuckled darkly, slow, and deliberate. Your father kept you hidden for a long time, Anna, but he couldn't hide you forever. Her breath came fast and shallow. Tell me who the hell you are? Another chuckle, but this time it was closer, too close. Look outside. Anna's pulse roared in her ears. Her body moved before her mind could catch up, her head snapping toward the hospital window. And then she saw it. A tall figure stood at the edge of the parking lot, just beyond the reach of the streetlights. Their face was obscured by the darkness, but she could feel their gaze locked onto her, unmoving, waiting. A primal fear, unlike anything she had ever known, seized her body. She stumbled backward, heart hammering against her ribs. Stay the hell away from me. She screamed into the phone. Stay the hell away from me, she screamed into the phone. But the voice remained calm, unshaken. You don't understand, Anna. We're not here to hurt you. Her breath hitched. We're here to take back what belongs to us. And then the line went dead. Anna barely remembered rushing out of the hospital room, her father's lifeless body left behind. She needed air now. She needed answers. The cold night air hit her like a slap as she burst through the hospital's entrance, her eyes darting frantically across the parking lot. Empty. The figure was gone. Had she imagined it? Had paranoia consumed her so fast that she was already seeing things? Her hands trembled as she pulled up her hoodie, trying to calm herself. Think, Anna, think. Her father had confessed to horrible things, but he had also warned her. If his past was coming back for her, she needed to know why. And there was only one place that might have answers. Her childhood home, the place where all of his secrets had begun. The drive felt like a fever dream. Every red light, every passing car made her shoulders tense, her hands gripping the steering wheel like a lifeline. When she finally pulled up to the old house, it was exactly as she remembered. A 2-story home with weathered paint, standing alone at the edge of a quiet neighborhood. But tonight, it felt different, as if it had been waiting for her. She hesitated before stepping out of the car. The wind howled through the trees, rattling the windows of the house. The porch creaked beneath her weight as she reached for the door. Locked, of course. Anna took a deep breath, then reached under the loose brick beside the steps. Just as she remembered, the spare key was still there. Her fingers curled around the metal, and for a split second, she hesitated. Once you go in, there's no turning back. She swallowed hard, and then she unlocked the door. The smell of dust and old wood greeted her as she stepped inside. Everything was still, untouched, as if frozen in time. She moved toward the living room, her heart pounding. Then she saw it, an old wooden chest pushed against the far wall. She didn't remember that being there before. A chill crept down her spine. Her father had always been secretive, always hiding things. Slowly, she knelt beside the chest, her hands shaking as she lifted the lid. Inside, there were stacks of old, yellowed papers, photographs, and something else. A knife. Its blade was clean, but the weight of it felt heavy, as if it had seen things she could never unsee. Then her eyes landed on the photograph at the very top of the pile. A woman, her mother, but not how she remembered. This wasn't a picture of a happy family moment, no. Her mother was tied to a chair, a gag in her mouth, her eyes wide with fear. Anna's breath caught in her throat. Beneath the photo was a document, a marriage certificate, her father's name, and another name, a name she had never seen before. Anna's world spun. He lied about everything. And then a thud echoed from upstairs, ... Anna's blood ran cold. She wasn't alone.